Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Coaching from the Couch. This is your Washington Commanders update, and I am your host, Candy CWall Waller from Bowie Television, here to give you the latest and greatest information on the Washington Commanders. You all welcome to NFL Week 9, where the Commanders are taking on the New York Giants, this time at MetLife Stadium for their second division matchup of the season. You all, just a couple of housekeeping items before I dive all the way into the updates for this week. If you all are watching on YouTube, hello to you. I hope you are also subscribed to Bowie_TV. Make sure you hit the thumbs up. Make sure you hit the bell to receive the notifications. As you're here on the channel, you can see that there is so much to just take in. There's a lot of content on the channel, a lot of great shows. We cover all of the topics. So make sure you all dive in and enjoy a little bit of everything that we have to share. Also, if you're watching on television or if you're in Bowie, Maryland or surrounding communities, you can find this channel on Verizon, Channel 11, as well as Comcast Xfinity, Channel 77. So that's the rundown for the overall channel. In terms of this show, you all, you can catch, I always do a live game recap the day after the game on at 7:30. And I say the day after the game because sometimes the game is, of course, on Monday. We got an upcoming Thursday night football game. So I always do it the next day after the game. And then, of course, this episode here, which hopefully you all are watching in high anticipation of this division matchup. You all listen. So sometimes records aren't what they seem. We know that the New York Giants are 2-6. Of course, we know the Commanders are 6-2. But hey, the Giants are still putting up a good fight. I think they put up a good fight just this past week against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yes, the Pittsburgh Steelers won, but there's so much that doesn't always show up in the actual end of the game score that you have to be looking out for. This is still a competitive team, as we all saw a 2-6 Jets team just beat a then 6-2 Houston Texans team on Thursday night. Teams are still looking to get better. They're still looking to win football games. Hey, listen, and if anyone else learned from the Commanders, miracles can happen. So I don't think this is a game, just like any of the other games, that the Washington Commanders should take lightly. I'm so sure that they're not. But let's get into some of the clips. As always, I have a lot to share because, hey, when do I not? Sharing a clip from the questions I had for Jayden Daniels this week, sharing interviews that I did with Commanders corner Emmanuel Forbes, as well as wide receiver Olamide Zaccheaus. So I want you all to see those. We did a media scrum with defensive pass game coordinator Jason Simmons. Again, more clips from offensive coordinator Kliff Kingsbury, defensive coordinator Joe Whitt Jr., my questions to head coach Dan Quinn. You all know there's always going to be some, incorporating of the clips and the questions and the interviews for the week for you all. Let's go ahead and get started. Go ahead and drop a fire emoji, a heart emoji. If you're already enjoying the content, hopefully you've already subscribed to the channel and you're watching consistently. We'll go ahead and get started. Last week, while the Commanders won in a thriller, let's just be honest, right? And this is a question that I had for head coach Dan Quinn right after the game. It was a challenge for the Commanders offense to get going. We saw this in week 2 against the New York Giants. Here we are again with the Commanders taking on the New York Giants. So hopefully we'll all see a Commanders offense based on what we all are accustomed to seeing, not so many struggles. I had a question for Jayden Daniels regarding the offensive struggles and what he's seen in his teammate Noah Brown that made that game-winning Hail Mary catch last Sunday. Check out this clip here. Hey, Jayden. So overall on Sunday, the offense didn't necessarily produce what you all have been accustomed to producing. So when you took another look at the film, what do you see some of the challenges were for you all on Sunday?
Yeah, just focus on the little things, the details, and how can we be better with that. And it comes throughout the week of preparation. Uh, it's a players' league, and at some point, we got to go out there, we got to take accountability, and we can't have the margin of error is real small in the NFL, so you can't get away with too much stuff. So luckily that it didn't. We're not talking about this coming off a loss, and we're able to go back out there and focus and prepare the right way for the next week.
Noah Brown was added to the team a bit later in training camp. So for that play to be set up the way it was and Noah to be able to catch that touchdown, what can you say about what you've seen from him so far and your connection with him?
Yeah, he's a great dude, even outside of football, just who he is, how he came in, just he goes to work. Very, very smart, very high football IQ. And he's a good route runner, knows how to get open, very savvy. And, we're lucky to have him in this room, a part of this team and this brotherhood.
So, of course, because you all know me, I have to ask the questions. As I mentioned before I showed that clip, I'm like, hey, this has to be an offense that gets going. We've only seen the offense struggle twice. But considering one of the teams they struggled to get going offensively was against the New York Giants, and here the team is again preparing to face them, it makes me a little nervous. Malik Neighbors, hey, if you go back and watch that week 2 game, some of it could have come down to the fact that Malik Neighbors just didn't catch that one pass, right? Like toward the end of the game. It also could be argued that because Graham Gano was out, that could have also been another thing there for the team. Either way, yes, they won, but that doesn't mean it doesn't mean that you do not look at the little things. It's exactly what quarterback Jayden Daniels was saying. Getting the little things right means so much. And this is certainly one of the games that, hey, one false move. And we all know the historic background of the challenges that this team faces against the New York Giants, especially in MetLife Stadium. Oh, my goodness. So hopefully they're able to get those little things right. They're able to continue to catch their stride on offense. And hopefully we've seen a defense that's continued to get it going. Don't want to see Daniel Jones having one of his best games against the Commanders, as again, something that we've seen in the past as well. So I think this is going to be a good one. I think, hey, when is it not? I feel like all the games have been good so far. I don't know how you all feel, but I do feel like they've been good. Even when the Commanders have basically scored way more points than their opponent, I still think this is one that could be one to watch for the week for certain. Moving along with that, as I mentioned when I opened the episode, had an opportunity to talk with wide receiver Olamide Zaccheaus this week, as well as cornerback Emmanuel Forbes. So let's get into those interviews. Olamide's is probably close to 4 minutes. Emmanuel's is close to 3. I hope you all stick around to check them out because, hey, these are two, the whole entire team is cool, but this is 2 of the very cool players on the Commanders. Check out Olamide's interview here. Hey there, this is Candy Waller with Bowie TV, standing here with Commanders wide receiver Olamide Zaccheaus.
Perfect.
Did I say it perfectly?
Perfect.
Oh, and I said it loud too. So I was like, if I was wrong,
you were loud and right.
Check me on camera. So I'm glad I got that. I said it with confidence.
Yeah, you got it right too. You got it right.
Very good, very good. Halfway through the season, how you feeling?
I feel pretty good. I feel like, obviously, we have a decent amount of wins, but we still have things to improve on. So I feel good about the direction that we're moving towards.
Throughout camp and now the season, you have been consistently brought up as one of the players who, whatever you're asked to do, you just get it done. So what kind of contributes to that mentality for you?
I just think about, for me personally, it's just how my career is going for me, and I've had to be ready to do a lot of different things, and just throughout that process, I've kind of accepted that and just chosen to be the best at whatever I'm asked to do. So, there's things I still have to improve on, but I pride myself on being able to do a lot of things at a very high level.
So you had to play, you made a touchdown on Sunday, you had to come back. So if you're able to share, what was that moment like? Like, you scored a big touchdown, made a great play, then it had to come back. Were you just like, oh, how was that?
Not really. I think in the moment you're just thinking next play. Whatever the next play is, let's do what we can to execute that to get back into the end zone. But obviously we like scoring points. But not in the moment. I'm just thinking, what's the next play? What do we have to do next in order to get back in the end zone?
So we definitely got to ask you, because we know that this is a hot topic, the Hail Mary. So what was going through your mind from got 13 seconds left, what's about to happen? Did you really think you all could pull it off? Like, what was all the things?
I know we always have a chance. We practice those situations every week. So, Hail Mary is very, it's a low percentage play, historically. But, it's something that we still practice, though. So, for us to be able to execute that and then, everything go right, it's just a testament to just being ready for whenever the moment presents itself. So, it's a cool moment, one that goes down in history, but, we have to move on from that and focus on the chance.
What can you say about the fans that are showing up to the games, giving you all the positive energy and feedback? How do you all feed off of the fans?
Man, the energy is crazy. I think that's one thing that, you kind of take for granted, throughout the league. But, just even on the away games, just hearing the fans, like when we're in Arizona, and just different things like that. It's like in Cincinnati, it's cool to see, how much these fans care and how they travel and how passionate they are on Sundays when we're going out there to play for them.
So coming up, the New York Giants, it's to be the second time you all have faced this division rival. So what have you seen so far from any film you watch, or just what you know of the team and what you saw of them in week 2?
It's a divisional opponent, so it's always going to be a hard-fought game. They have a great team, regardless of their record. They have great players on both sides of the ball, special teams. So it's not a game that we take lightly at all, and we know that we have to come in there ready to play.
So Zaccheaus, I thank you, or Olamide, called you by your last name.
That's fine.
Zaccheaus.
As long as you're saying it right, that's perfect.
Whichever. So, all of the things. I did have to say that you were a popular person, so I'm glad I finally caught up with you. And I appreciate you taking the time.
Of course.
And next up, here's my chat with Emmanuel Forbes Jr. This is Candy Waller reporting from Commanders Park, Bowie TV, standing here with. First of all, do I have to tell everybody who this is?
No.
It is. See, you already said it, but I'll just say it. Cornerback of the Commanders, Emmanuel Forbes. Emmanuel, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing well. So, midway through the season, how are things going for the team?
It's going great. We got a 6-2 start. That's great, honestly, better than last year, of course, but we're playing good, good ball and just great energy around the facility and great brotherhood, which continue us to play good, so honestly, yeah.
So, if you can, share with me what this has been like for you. There's been a couple of weeks where you were inactive, others where you're on the field, you're making an impact, you caught an interception. So what has that been like for you the last few weeks?
Honestly, it's not where I want to be, but it's part of being a professional, we have a strong bond in the DVD group, which help us all, play good together, and, they're playing great ball right now, and whenever I'm in, I'm playing great ball too, but it's all about winning, and that's what we're doing, honestly, so yeah.
So there was a clip, as I'm sure you know, that went viral of you showing amazing sportsmanship to two of the Chicago Bears players after you won. You, although I'm sure you were excited, you did not instantly go to celebrating with your teammates. You went to go pick them up. So just share a little bit about what made you take that approach.
Honestly, when I ran on the field, I seen guys down and shock, honestly. So I don't know, just second nature to just pick them up, tell them, get up off the ground, you'll be all right. And honestly, I gave them a pass like that last year versus Denver, and just things happen. It's part of life, part of football. So just don't be down and just always get up.
So you mentioned that pass in Denver. I think that was like week 2 last year. So how do you take those lessons learned and apply them?
Honestly, it's part of growing and just doing your job. Honestly, we got the Hail Mary and we completed it honestly, but it was really because a couple of their guys went doing their job, and it's a learning experience and they're learning from it. But always get up.
So coming up this week, division opponent, you all have seen, this will be the second time you'll see the New York Giants this year. What have you seen so far from when you all played them in week 2 to what you've seen recently in film?
Oh, they kind of still do the same things, and we are a totally different team than we was from week 2. And we got a lot better days. We got a lot better also. But it should be a good game. We're going to go out there and just hopefully to win,
Well, Emmanuel, look, I told Olamide the same thing. You're a popular person, so I'm glad I was able to catch you. Thank you so much for spending the time. Really appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.
So as Emmanuel shared, and actually Dan Quinn said this in his Friday press conference as well, it's both teams have gotten better, right? The New York Giants, the record may not reflect, but both teams have still gotten better. So going to continue to move forward in this episode. I hope you all enjoyed those Commanders Catch one-on-ones that I had with Olamide Zaccheaus and Emmanuel Forbes. Really hope you guys enjoyed that. So sometimes it's nice to get folks on camera. Sometimes it's nice to just chat. But I thought this week was a good one to get guys one-on-one and see what their thoughts were on the season so far and other things as well. So with that being said, let's move on to some coordinator clips, shall we? First up, offensive coordinator Kliff Kingsbury, and then I will make some comments on what he's sharing about his thoughts, and Jayden just making these throws that you almost are like, wow, I can't even believe he threw that. But hey, they've been dimes so far. Check it out.
Jayden has had a number of those throws where they haven't had a high probability for success, for touchdowns. Why is he good in those times? I think he's had more than any quarterback in the NFL this year. Why is he good in those moments?
Yeah, just he has a fearlessness about him when he plays. He cuts it loose and believes, and he. In practice, it's not like he's just trying to complete it. He's trying to make the perfect throw, and he judges himself on that, which, the great ones do.
And is there one, first of all, it's funny because we watch him on Fridays, and the other guys are sticking it in that yellow bucket, and he's not. And it's funny, you put him in a game, and you're going to put your money on him, I'm assuming.
Yeah, there's no doubt. He's not great at the trash can drill, but he's really good on the field, so I think that'll work out for him.
What are those throws that he's made this year that just jumps out to you, besides the Hail Mary?
He's had a bunch. One of the most impressive throws all year was the one that Luke caught. I think it was the first drive of the game. Sweat's barreling down on him, pulling his jersey, and he drops it in there. Luke almost gets his feet down, but his off-platform, off-schedule stuff has been really, really impressive.
So there's a couple things about that clip that I want to bring up. It's the fact that offensive coordinator Kliff Kingsbury says, and that's what the great ones do. Write that in your notebook, because we're going to always use our clues. We're going to always take notes. Please don't think I don't do that all the time. So make sure you write that. Get a pen. Write it down in your notebook, okay? That's what the great ones do. Now, just love the fact that it was brought up about the trash can drills. Yes, the team, the quarterbacks do a trash can drill. Sometimes the coaches participate in it as well. And John Keim is absolutely correct. Jayden Daniels is not so good at that drill. And like Kliff Kingsbury said, nope, he's not that good at that at all. But on the field, we all know how that story goes. But it's interesting, right? He's like, you do this particular drill. You're not good at that drill. Of course, just fine in others. But that one is just not necessarily your bag, right? But hey, he gets it done on the football field, and that's what matters. Also wanted to bring up from that clip, if you all recall, during the Bears game, yes, there was an amazing throw, and I thought a catch by Luke McCaffrey. To Coach Kingsbury's point, really wish that Luke could have got both of his feet in, because I promise you all, I said it a few times in the press box, I would really like to see them run that play again. Do that one again, please. Please. That was, I actually, I mean, it didn't count, but I was really kind of giddy about Coach Kingsbury bringing that play up because I thought it was masterful. And it was actually my favorite non-scoring play of the game. I truly did admire that play design, the overall throw, and the catch just didn't get both of his feet in. So wanted to bring those three up. Now let's move on to defensive coordinator Joe Whitt Jr.'s opening statement from his press conference this week.
Really pleased with the efforts of the men from a communication standpoint. To start off with, we understood that the Bears were probably the second most, not probably, they are the second most tempo team in the league behind us, okay? And why do you go tempo? You go tempo for a number of reasons. One, from a structure standpoint, what you can do to the defense, typically you keep a defense in their 4 or 5 down structure, or you keep them to middle field open, middle field closed while you're going fast, and they can be very predictable in what they are going to deploy against that tempo speed. So what did we do? All right, we asked our men to let's not be simplistic in that, okay? Let's be able to go 4 and 5 down. Let's be able to go middle field open, middle field closed. Let's be able to bring a pressure from the field and from the boundary while they're doing tempo. And asking them to do that, the communication had to be A1, and it starts with Bobby Wagner. He was able to get us into our tempo calls, and there were one-word calls where I was saying one word down, and he would communicate it across the board. That he would have to put the front, he would have to put the coverage, the direction of the blitz, and we didn't miss it at one beat. So I think that was part of the reason that we had them playing behind, because they were anticipating us being in one deal, and we were able to get to a pressure if we wanted to. We were able to get to 4 down, 5 down when we wanted to get to it with their tempo. And so I give credit to the men. We talked about coming up here a number of times and said communication was a little bit of a problem for us. And if you go back and look at the film, you can see the over-communication of the men, and that's why we were able to set our feet. We were able to play downhill, and, we let the big run get out. That was because we came under blocks and we didn't get off a block on the edge. That we got to shore that up. And then at the last touchdown, to be honest with you, I didn't particularly like the call. I gave a safe call, but it wasn't the perfect call. And we had the perfect call in the bag. So I got to be better in that situation right there.
You know what I will always appreciate about Joe Whitt Jr., and it is just his level of accountability, his high level of accountability. I'm telling you, all of the coaches and the players definitely, you see the accountability. We've talked about that on a number of episodes, just actually seeing the accountability, right? But he says it, then you see it almost immediately, and he's able to acknowledge exactly which plays, what he should have called, where he could have been better. Gotta appreciate that level of transparency. And it takes a high level ability to be vulnerable as well, to say, hey, I didn't do this right, didn't do that right, and here's where I gotta be better in a public forum. So shout out to Coach Whitt for that. I mentioned earlier in the week in my game recap, in the live game recap episode, after the Commanders win against the Bears, I played a clip, I think from Dan Quinn's press conference on Monday, where he talked about Bobby Wagner. And he mentioned Bobby Wagner being a quarterback on defense, and mentioned that the team is, they're just lucky to have him. And you hear Coach Whitt talking about Bobby Wagner again. I mentioned Bobby Wagner on the live game recap. You all know I've been mentioning Bobby Wagner since he got here. You all know this. When I asked linebackers coach Ken Norton Jr. about what he wanted to see in a linebacker and every single thing that he described once Bobby Wagner got signed, I said, well, all he had to tell me was, I want to sign Bobby Wagner. And then I would have just said, okay, I understand. Because he described him perfectly. And I mentioned in this live recap in the previous episode that if you go back and you watch the film, exactly what Joe Whitt Jr. says, if you even watch the television version, because at this point I've watched the TV version probably about 3 times. I've watched the film twice. And the over communication, absolutely correct. But what I shared with you all is Bobby Wagner put on a masterclass in leadership on the field. That was tremendous. If you're really, really paying attention to what he was doing and how the defense overall was positioned where they were, it makes such a difference, even in what spot, in what stance, and where you are. And I've been watching this kind of evolve. We've been seeing it because these are the things that do not show up on stat sheets. You know, it's interesting. I mentioned stuff about Bobby Wagner, and I'm like, hey, the stats gonna speak for itself. We get it. But if you ever pay attention, use your clues. Oftentimes, Dan Quinn speaks about the things that don't show up on the stat sheet. Now, Bobby Wagner's stats speak for itself. Let's be very clear. But the intangibles and the things that he is bringing and the intellectual capacity, which is extremely high, that he brings to this team overall and the defense specifically, you got to pay attention to what you're looking at. And if you have an opportunity before you all get into watching the Giants game, check out that last game. Check it out. Matter of fact, you can even still go back and check out the Carolina Panthers game. You will see Bobby Wagner speaking very specifically, talking directly to his teammates. You will see teammates speaking specifically and talking to each other, making sure they're in the right spot. All of the things. These do not show up on stat sheets. You can almost miss me with your stat sheet. For real, when it comes to certain things, because when you compare stats, because they matter, but then those intangibles that don't come up on the stat sheet and you have that right balance of both, meaning they're both high, that is a recipe for success. So I kind of went on a Bobby Wagner rant there. I've been sharing it with you all throughout, and I really, really talked about it in the live because these are things that are very important points that I want you all to continue to use your clues and make sure you're making note of those. Now, let's move on to Coach Whitt's response about his reaction to the Hail Mary. Check this out.
And just curiosity, obviously you'd come in here many times before on the opposing side, and you saw what the stadium was like. A lot of visiting fans, especially with Dallas. What was that like at the end of the game? The roar after the Hail Mary, just to see what this team could do.
Well, to be honest with you, I didn't see much of it because I was pissed. We had just gave up the touchdown. So I got up and I was walking out of the box, and then I turned around and I was like, okay, all right. I was a little bit surprised about the play before the play. I was like, oh, they gave us a sideline. We're going to have a chance at this, at the Hail Mary. And so I turned and I looked at the TV and I said, oh, we have time. I said, we're going to really have a chance at this Hail Mary. And so now I'm getting excited as the play's going on, and the ball went up, and then I saw it happen. I'm watching the TV. I didn't actually see the screen, and I said, oh, wow, we caught it. And so I just stood there, and everybody's going crazy. And I was like, because I was still a little pissed. We we let them score, and then I just went ballistic with everybody else, and we just went rounding down the hall to the elevator. But so I really didn't get to see the fan reaction until I saw the pictures of it. But I'm glad we have J5. He does an excellent job, but we shouldn't put him in that situation as a defense. We should close the game, finish the game in those winning moments. And I blame myself because we were in a solid call, but there was a better call that I should have got to, and I didn't. And that's not acceptable.
Again, accountability. Joe Whitt Jr. Listen, tremendous accountability. But look, I think I may have shared with you all, if you all follow me, I've said full disclosure about where I was and what I was doing. But when Joe Whitt Jr. shared that you all want to know what I was doing when the Hail Mary was taking place? Because I think I told you all I had gone to the restroom, and I was walking out of the restroom. I looked up at the TV, and Noah Brown was catching the football, right? So now I have a word and a phrase to describe what I was doing when the Hail Mary, when the whole thing was going down. I was on my Joe Whitt Jr. because I was irritated. I too was a little upset because I'm like, how did the offense, how did we get here today? Oh my gosh, the defense just gave way right at the end. It was just all of the things. I was completely uninterested at that point. I was just going to the restroom to go get ready for press conferences. Walk out, Noah Brown's catching the football. So now we have a name. Now we have a name for it, you all. On my Joe Whitt Jr. All right, I was on that. I was on that type of time. So, okay, you all, let's move forward. If you all saw from the Commanders page, Jeremy Reeves is the team's salute to service nominee. Dan Quinn was asked about that in his Friday press conference. Check it out.
Jeremy nominated today for the Salute to Service Award. I believe you've won that a couple times, right?
I have won it. Yep.
Okay, yeah. Just what an honor is it to just be nominated for
that? I thought, and we announced that today in the team meeting, and we rely heavily on the military and some of the influence they have, because I felt like they have done team better than anybody. And so for us to get a chance to recognize, people that support our military and the team, great teammates, make great teams, and Jeremy Reeves is a great teammate. And so we're all really pumped for him to be our nominee for the Salute to Service Award, because he represents everything that you'd want in a teammate, and that's why I thought it was so impactful today.
You know what is just so tremendous about this story is at one point with, going through training camp, going through everything, it was really almost like, who's going to make this team? And of course, right, that was one of the questions. Was Jeremy Reeves one of the players from the past regime that was going to make this team? And Jeremy Reeves has continued to make his presence known and make it just known that he is an impacted player. I mean, this is a Pro Bowler. He is, in fact, a Pro Bowler. And to know and to see that, yes, he is a great teammate. His teammates love him. Definitely an active contributor and part of the brotherhood that is being shaped in that locker room is tremendous. It even made my heart smile when I saw that he is this year the team's Salute to Service nominee. How cool is that? And absolutely well deserved. Next clip are my questions to Dan Quinn on preparing for Week 9 against the Giants.
Not Noah Brown. I cannot catch a touchdown. Coach, it's Week 9, going into the last stretch of the season here. Are there anything that you're seeing with the team that you're said, okay, we must do better at this?
Yeah, I think we're more in the week to week. So as we're heading into November, here's the things we want to get better at. So last Saturday, we kind of all went through our work-ons. What's the next thing for us, Candy, meaning heading into this week? And so these are the specific things. All 70 of the players say, I want to get better at this one thing. It may have carried over from early in the season, but it may have been, right now. But as a team, I'm always digging on the turnover margin. As we sit here at +4, that's something that for us to become the team we want to be, we can increase upon that. And so that's a big deal for us. The tackling and the breaking tackles is a big deal for us. And the situation football, those are 3 that come to mind right off the bat as an entire team. But what I do love about individually, people are digging to get better and being relentless about that. So collectively, we all lift when we're doing that. So there's a lot for us to improve on. Individually and as a team, but the ball, the tackling, and the situation times, those as a team, those are the top of my list.
And for what you've seen out of the Giants from week 2 to this week, what are some of the differences you've seen in that team? I
don't know if it's the difference because it was so early, so you don't know any of the stats and that kind of stuff, but I have been impressed defensively, and they've been able to really generate pass rush in just about every category. They've been really strong. So a lot of respect for what they're doing defensively. On the offensive side, I feel their speed, at receiver. There's catch and run, there's shot plays, there's all that to go. And I thought the addition, of using both running backs has been a big factor for them. And so those are a few of the things. Both teams have improved since week 2. And so now, 7 weeks later, it'll be fun to go battle with them again, knowing that both teams have gotten better in this stretch.
So one of the reasons why I love just to ask those kind of questions is because I also use it as an opportunity for me to know if I know what I'm looking at, right? Because I check the opposing team's schedule. I check their games. I watch their games, the TV versions and the film versions. And so I'm making a note. Coach Quinn always helps me kind of pressure test that, right? And I know what I'm looking at. Okay, great. So listen, the win that the Commanders had against the Giants was not an easy one by far. That was a tough game for the team to get going and get their first win of the season in their home opener. But still, the defense is impressive. What they're doing with their running backs, impressive. The New York Giants have some good things going with that team that you just cannot sleep based on a record. You have to watch the film. You have to get into what is going to end up and how are you going to be the one that comes up with the W at the end of that 60 minutes. So Coach Quinn is always very transparent, direct, in exactly all the things that he's seen out of the opposing team that makes them an NFL professional team that everybody's over there getting paid as well. Sometimes it always doesn't come up on the stat sheet, and on the record, as we know, that's what gets people into the playoffs for sure, gets teams into the playoffs. But that doesn't mean you lack preparedness and are unaware of where the team is strong. Dexter Lawrence, and Dexter Lawrence. All right. He's dynamic. I think Coach Quinn mentioned earlier in the Friday press conference, hey, the Giants defense still had 5 sacks on the day, right? So they remember that game. Yes, both teams have improved, but they still have to be prepared, very prepared. You all have heard me talk about Coach Joe Whitt Jr. and Dan Quinn was asked about Joe Whitt. I know that there was some questions leading into this season about Kliff Kingsbury as well as Joe Whitt Jr. And one of the questions being with Joe Whitt that I recall hearing quite a bit was why it took him so long to be a defensive coordinator. What took him so long to get in this actual role? Listen to Dan Quinn's response to what he thinks about Joe Whitt Jr.
And with Joe Whitt, I mean, what he's done to really galvanize the defense, and looking at where they started in week 1 to how they've really come together at this point, what have you seen from him just in leading that group?
Yeah, I would say the things that you guys don't see that the players do is, like, Joe is a tremendous teacher. That's one of the first things that that jumped across me, to me years back when I got a chance to start with him. The detail, you feel his experience. You feel, that he can use an example of a player or a play and then tie it in. So those are the things that I thought early on it was hard on us, and I thought he stayed very consistent. Here's the approach. Here's how we're going to go to get better. And you had heard me say I thought we were closer than the numbers would indicate. And so to see their connection taking place, that's a big deal.
So listen, that's giving you some clues right there about how and why you've seen so much improvement in the defense, the ability to be a teacher. And in order, in my opinion, to be an effective teacher, you have to understand how your team and how your audience, how they learn. So that means you have to take an opportunity and chance to get to know your players and your staff as well. Kudos to Joe Whitt Jr. because and kudos to the whole entire staff. Kliff Kingsbury, all of the things. Bobby Johnson, who everyone knows, maybe the New York Giants didn't have, thought he wasn't doing what he needed to be doing and wasn't doing that great of a job. But hey, look, offensive line coach Bobby Johnson is doing his thing with the Commanders, among other coaches as well. So you all know that the coaching staff has always been, if you've watched my show over the years, and if you've joined just this year, or if this is just your first time watching, I'm big on coaching. I'm huge on coaching. I'm huge on teaching. I'm huge on understanding your audience and how they learn and what resonates with them and how to get the best out of your folks. I'm big on that. So, and what's just going to be put them in the best position to be successful long term. So this is what we're seeing. This is what we're seeing, and it is very, 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 very real. With that, closing out with the media scrum with defensive passing game coordinator, Jason Simmons. We have definitely seen a change in the secondary. We're definitely going to need to see that as they go up against Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors is a threat. He's a challenge, and you know he's going to get targeted 15,000 times. That's me exaggerating to mean he's going to get targeted a whole lot, and of course he is, because he's just that dynamic of a talent. You know Daniel Jones is going to try his best to get him the football. So check out this media scrum that we had with Coach Simmons, and then we'll close this episode out.
First of all, just in general, how have you thought about just how things have been going, communication, secondary, and all that?
I think it's getting better. I think when the guys know when we started, our biggest emphasis, and we know it's effort, it's communication, it's eye discipline, and that's any good secondary. So we're looking to improve that every day.
How are you doing that? Like, what things do you do to work on that, just besides just emphasizing?
You know, the biggest thing is, you know what? That's really the way. The way is emphasizing it, congratulating it, making sure that the guys do it. And they know, the biggest thing we talk about as coaches, us having competitive stamina. Letting them know, like, this is the standard. This is what we do every day. This is what we do when the practice film is on in the classroom. This is what we do on the field, on the grass.
What have you seen from Mike Sanderstill, just coming in to play the slot and then moving outside? How has he handled that adjustment?
Oh, what I've seen is the level of maturity from a young guy that most guys don't have. Mikey's able to maneuver and go from the nickel position, we call the star position, to the corner seamlessly. He's a primary communicator. He's a guy that doesn't really get too high with the highs or too low with the lows. He's played at a very high level, of course, in Michigan, so he's been in big games. So, he's not really surprised, or the moment's never too big for him.
Is it rare, though, to have a rookie be able to come in, play that spot, then move outside and be pretty good at that spot, too?
It is. That's why we value it. But we knew that coming in. The guy was well coached in college. Yeah. He takes the game very, very seriously. He's a true pro. He brought that into this locker room, and it's continuing to grow. And that's our job, to continue to grow him and help him as a player.
Coach, kind of a similar question on Quan Martin, just kind of what stood out to him as you got to know him halfway through the year.
Quan's leadership. A lot of people don't see it because it's not outward, it's not boastful, but he's definitely a leader in the secondary. He's a guy that guys look to. He's a calming presence, and he's really, really developing into the leader that we want.
Hey there, really quick. Hey there, Coach. On the Commander side, they caught a clip of you right before the Hail Mary, where you went over to some of the guys in the secondary and say, "Hey, you all, we need all the energy that you got. You all got to get up. Let's get hyped." So leading up to that moment, what were you thinking going into that last play?
You know what? Me being in the league, and this is going to my 24th year in the National Football League, I know that the game's not over until it's all zeros on the clock. I've been a part of a lot of those situations. I was in Green Bay for 9 years, so I was a part of a lot of the Aaron Rodgers. So the thing is with that is just knowing, and DQ says it all the time, the best part of the team is the team. So we're going to support all the way down to the zeros, and we're going to be there for our guys.
You've known Joe Whitt for a while. I mean, how has he handled this role? I mean, the play calling's not new to him, but being able to run the defense as he sees it, how has he really taken this role?
I've always seen Joe in this role. It's one of those things that's long overdue for a guy like that. He's had a lot of success in this league for a very long time. Coached some of the top secondaries in the league at multiple places. He's always had those qualities. Now he's just in front of the room, just where everybody's more visible now for you guys to see, as opposed to we felt Joe, players have felt Joe throughout his career.
What is it, when you say you felt, what is it that you feel the most? What is it that comes across the most with him? When he's in front of the room and all that, what stands out?
There's a level of confidence. There's a level of assurance of knowing he knows exactly what he's talking about. He knows how to put players in the right position to make plays. He gives
players confidence. He also gives them the ability to be able to see something and go get it. He doesn't slow guys down. He doesn't slow them down. He allows them to play, allows them to be able to use their football instincts within the scheme. So he promotes guys making plays, and guys enjoy playing for a guy like that.
So you all heard a multitude of things there in terms of perspective on Joe Whitt Jr., Mikey Samerstill, just all of the things from Coach Jason Simmons. So listen, you all, we got a football game Sunday, November the 3rd, 1 p.m. Eastern. The Washington Commanders face the New York Giants at MetLife Stadium. I, as you can see from the Coach from the Couch series, am in the Coach from the Couch studios for the Washington Commanders update, and will soon be making my way to East Rutherford, New Jersey, to all of the things and watching the game and covering and providing game day coverage of this division matchup. So I hope you all are paying attention. I hope you all are subscribed by now to Bowie TV. I sincerely hope you are following me on X as well. You can see my at CWall SE in the lower thirds there. So you all make sure, hey, jump in, join in the live game recap. Since this game is on Sunday, the live game recap will be Monday, November 4th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you meet me right back here. Join in the conversation. I try to answer as many questions and acknowledge as many comments as possible. And I would absolutely love to have you. If you're watching on the television channel, hey, listen, you can always join in as well. Just grab your phone, your laptop, your iPad, and you can join in the live discussion as well. So you all, safe travels to everyone who is traveling, and hopefully on Monday we'll be talking about yet another Victory Monday. Until then, I'll be talking to you all again soon.